My name is Elena Vasquez, and I need to tell you something important before we begin. For the longest time, I believed that love was supposed to hurt, that if it didn't consume you completely, break you down piece by piece, make you question everything about who you are, then it wasn't real love. I thought passion meant chaos. I thought intensity meant authenticity. I thought losing yourself in someone else was what it meant to truly love them. I was so wrong. Real love? Real love feels like coming home after a long, exhausting journey. Like the smell of old books on a rainy afternoon when you have nowhere else to be. Like someone seeing all your broken pieces, the jagged edges, the missing parts, the cracks. You try so hard to hide, and saying, "You're still the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." This is the story of how I stopped running from pain and started running toward joy. This is the story of a bookshop, a broken heart, and a man who taught me that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering who you were before someone made you believe you were less than enough. Before we begin, I want to ask you something, and I really want you to answer in the comments below because I read every single one. Do you believe in second chances at love? Do you believe that after someone breaks you, you can find someone who puts you back together? Do you believe in happy endings that aren't in fairy tales? Because this story might just change your answer. This story might just give you hope. And I think we all need a little more hope these days. 6 months ago, I was living in a tiny studio apartment in Brooklyn. You know the kind. 400 square feet that cost $2,200 a month, where you could touch the kitchen counter while sitting on your bed, where the bathroom was so small you had to step into the shower to close the door. But I didn't care about the size. Because I was living the dream, right? I was a freelance illustrator for children's books. My drawings, whimsical, colorful scenes of brave little girls going on adventures, were being published in actual books that you could buy in actual bookstores. Not bestsellers, mind you. Not the kind that made the New York Times list or got turned into movies. But real books. Books that kids read before bed. Books that parents bought for birthday presents. Books that meant something. My Instagram had 50,000 followers. Mostly teachers, librarians, and parents who loved seeing my process videos where I'd sketch characters and bring them to life with watercolors and digital finishing. I'd get messages from little girls saying, "I drew a picture like yours today," or "I want to be an artist when I grow up just like you." Those messages made everything worth it. The late nights, the tight budgets, the ramen dinners, the constant hustle. And I was in love with a man named Trevor Walsh. Or at least, I thought I was. Trevor was everything I thought I wanted when I moved to New York at 23. He was ambitious in that sharp, hungry New York way. Successful. A marketing executive at a big firm in Manhattan, the kind with a corner office and a view of the East River. He wore expensive suits from Brooks Brothers. He knew which wines to order at dinner. He took me to rooftop bars in Williamsburg, where the cocktails had edible flowers and cost $18 each. At first, I was impressed. This sophisticated, put-together man wanted me. Elena Vasquez from Maplewood, Vermont, population 8,000, who'd never been to a rooftop bar in her life. "You're so talented, Elena," he'd say, scrolling through my Instagram while we lay in bed on Sunday mornings. "But you need to think bigger. You're capable of so much more than this." "More than what?" I'd ask. "Children's books are cute," he'd say, not looking up from his phone. "But they don't pay real money. You should be doing corporate illustration, advertising campaigns, tech company branding. That's where the money is, babe." At first, I laughed it off. "I like children's books," I'd say. "That's why I do them." But he kept pushing. Gently at first. Then more insistently. "You know that Instagram following you have?" He said one night over dinner at an Italian place in the West Village. "That's valuable. You could monetize that. Partner with brands. Do sponsored posts. I could introduce you to people at my firm who'd pay you 5 figures for a campaign." "I don't want to do ads, Trevor." "Why not?" he asked, genuinely confused. "It's the same work. Drawing is drawing." "No," I said quietly. "It's not the same." He sighed, that particular sigh that made me feel like I was being difficult. "Elena, you're 27 years old. At some point, you have to think about your future, your financial security. You can't live off $500 picture book contracts forever." "I make enough to pay my bills." "Barely," he said. "And what happens when you get older? When you want to buy a house, start a family? You think you can raise kids on an artist's salary?" I didn't have an answer for that. because part of me wondered if he was right. I tried. God, I really tried. I took a meeting with his firm. They wanted me to create illustrations for a cryptocurrency startup's marketing campaign. Just some fun, approachable imagery to make blockchain technology feel accessible to everyday people, the creative director explained. They offered me $8,000 for 2 weeks of work. More money than I'd made in the previous 3 months combined. I took the job, and I hated every second of it. Sitting at my tiny desk, trying to draw cheerful cartoon characters explaining decentralized finance, I felt like I was suffocating. My hand wouldn't move the way it should. The drawings came out flat, lifeless. Nothing like the magical forests and brave adventurers that flowed so easily when I was working on children's books. What's wrong with this? I asked Trevor one night, showing him a sketch. He barely glanced at it. Looks fine to me. They're paying you well, just finish it. But it wasn't fine. It was soulless. And worse, it was taking time away from the work I actually cared about. I had a picture book deadline looming, a story about a little girl who discovers a hidden garden, and I hadn't touched it in 2 weeks because I was too busy drawing smiling coins and happy blockchain nodes. The fights started small. Little comments here and there. You're working on another picture book? How much are they paying you? $500? Elena, that's barely worth your time. Why are you wasting your Saturday at that children's literacy event? You're not getting paid for that. Then they got bigger. You're not being practical, Elena. You're never going to make it as an artist with this attitude. I'm just trying to help you succeed, but you won't listen to me. I started to believe him. Started to think maybe I was the problem. Maybe I wasn't ambitious enough. Maybe I was just a dreamer, with her head in the clouds. Maybe my grandmother was wrong when she told me, Mija, do what makes your heart sing, and the rest will follow. Maybe hearts didn't matter in New York. Maybe only bank accounts did. I changed. Slowly at first, then all at once. I started saying yes to work I didn't want. I started posting less on Instagram because Trevor said my brand was too scattered. I started skipping gallery openings with artist friends because Trevor wanted to go to networking events with his colleagues. I stopped drawing for fun. I stopped sketching in coffee shops. I stopped seeing the magic in everyday things. I became smaller, quieter, a dimmer version of myself, and Trevor seemed happier. See? He'd say, this is good for you. You're growing. You're maturing. But I wasn't growing. I was shrinking. Then came the night that changed everything. March 15th, a Tuesday. I'd had a meeting with a publisher in Midtown, a small independent press that wanted me for a 3-book series about a Latina girl who could talk to animals. It was perfect. Exactly the kind of work I'd always dreamed of doing. They offered me $1,500 per book, plus royalties, plus creative control over the artwork. It wasn't a fortune, but it was mine. I was so excited I could barely sit still on the subway ride home. I picked up Trevor's favorite Thai food, pad CEW and spring rolls from that place in our neighborhood. I practiced how I'd tell him. I know it's not corporate money, but this is a 3-book deal, Trevor. 3 books. And the story is beautiful, and the publisher said they want to build a whole series around this character, and I was smiling when I unlocked the apartment door. The smile died on my face instantly. Clothes on the floor. A woman's heels I didn't recognize by the door. Sounds from the bedroom that made my stomach drop. For a moment, I just stood there. The Thai food bag slipping from my fingers. Peanut sauce leaking onto the floor. My brain trying to process what I was hearing. Then the bedroom door opened, and Trevor walked out, shirtless, followed by a woman I recognized from his office. Melissa something, the new account manager he'd mentioned a few times. Blonde, beautiful, wearing his t-shirt. Time moved in slow motion. Elena, Trevor started, his face going white. This isn't, Melissa stammered. But I couldn't hear them over the sound of my own heart breaking. That physical, audible crack, as everything I thought I knew shattered. How long? I heard myself ask. My voice sounded far away. Calm. Dead. Elena, let me explain. How long? Trevor flinched. 3 months, he admitted. 3 months. While I was trying to be better, while I was doing work I hated to make him proud, while I was changing myself to fit into his life. He was with her. It didn't mean anything, Trevor said, and I wanted to laugh at how predictable that line was. It was just stress from work. You know how demanding my job is. I needed— Don't, I said quietly. Don't you dare make this about your stress. Elena, you're not being reasonable. I'm not being reasonable? My voice cracked. I'm not the one who cheated. If you were more supportive of my career, he said, and his tone shifted, became sharp, defensive. Maybe I wouldn't have needed to find comfort elsewhere. I stared at him. At this man I'd loved. At this man I'd changed myself for. And I realized he was trying to make this my fault. You're right, I said, my voice eerily calm. He looked surprised. I'm right? Yeah, I said. This is my fault, for staying with someone who made me feel like I had to be less than myself to be loved. I walked to the bedroom, pulled out my 2 suitcases from under the bed, started throwing clothes in them while they both watched from the doorway. Elena, come on, Trevor said. Let's talk about this like adults. Where are you even going to go? Anywhere but here. You're overreacting. It's not like we're married. We can work through this. I stopped packing and looked at him. Really looked at him. And I saw clearly for the first time in 2 years. This man didn't love me. He loved the idea of me, the version he could mold and shape and control. We're done, Trevor, I said. You'll regret this, he called as I dragged my suitcases toward the door. Good luck making it as an artist without me. I didn't answer. I just left. I crashed on my friend Maya's couch in Washington Heights. She took one look at my face and pulled me inside. Didn't ask questions. Just made me tea and set up blankets and let me cry for 3 hours straight. I gave up everything for him. I sobbed. I changed who I was. I stopped doing the work I loved, and he was cheating on me the whole time. Then he didn't deserve you, Maya said simply. For a week, I existed in a fog, went through the motions, called publishers to cancel meetings, ignored Instagram, ignored emails, ignored the world. Then, on day 7, my mom called. Mija, she said, and her voice was so full of love I started crying again. Come home. Come home and heal. Your room is exactly how you left it. Your papa and I miss you. Come home. And something in me broke open. Okay, Mama, I whispered. I'm coming home. I left New York on a rainy Thursday morning. Everything I owned fit in my beat-up Honda Civic. 2 suitcases of clothes. My art supplies. My laptop. My dreams. Battered, but not quite broken. As I drove north, leaving the city skyline behind, I cried. For the relationship that failed. For the person I'd become. For the dreams I'd compromised. But somewhere around Albany, the tears stopped. And by the time I crossed into Vermont with the mountains rising green and ancient on either side of the highway, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Space to breathe. I was going home. To Maplewood. To the town I'd spent my whole adolescence trying to escape. To the place where everyone knows your name, your business, and your grandmother's secret pie recipe. The last place I ever thought I'd find myself again. But sometimes, you have to go backward to move forward. Sometimes you have to return to who you were before the world told you who to be. Sometimes coming home is the bravest thing you can do. Maplewood, Vermont in late March is a study in contrasts. The snow is melting, leaving everything muddy and brown and a little bit ugly. But if you look closely, really closely, you can see the first green shoots pushing through the dead leaves. Crocuses. Daffodils. The promise that winter doesn't last forever. That's what my mother told me the day I arrived. Spring always comes, Mija, she said, hugging me so tight I could barely breathe. No matter how long the winter, my parents still lived in the same house I grew up in. A pale blue colonial on Birch Street with a wraparound porch and a garden my mother tended like it was her 5th child. My childhood bedroom was on the 2nd floor, overlooking the backyard where my dad had built me a swing set when I was 6. The swing was still there, rusty now, but still standing. When Mom opened my bedroom door, I almost cried. She'd kept everything exactly the same. The twin bed with the purple comforter covered in silver stars. The desk by the window where I used to draw for hours. The wood scarred with pen marks and paint stains. The walls, oh, the walls, covered floor to ceiling with my old sketches. Fairies with gossamer wings. Dragons breathing rainbow fire. Girls who looked like me. Brown skin, dark hair, fierce eyes, going on adventures with swords and magic wands and determination. I couldn't take them down, Mom said softly. They're too beautiful. I walked to the desk and ran my fingers over the surface. Found my initials carved in the corner. Ev, surrounded by a wonky heart I'd carved when I was 12. "You can stay as long as you need, mija," Mom said. "This is your home. It will always be your home." My dad, Roberto, was less verbal but no less loving. He squeezed my shoulder at dinner that night and said, "We're glad you're home, pequeña." That was it. No questions about what happened. No judgment about coming back. Just acceptance. My parents had 4 other kids. I was the second youngest. And they'd learned long ago not to pry. My older brother Miguel called from Seattle. "Hey, little sis. Heard you're back in Maplewood. Want me to fly out and kick this guy's ass?" My older sister Carmen texted, "Mom told me. I'm sorry. But also good riddance. You deserve better." My younger sister Lucia, who still lived in town, showed up with ice. "Cream and wine. We're not talking about him unless you want to. We're just going to watch terrible reality TV and remember who you are." My family surrounded me with love. But they couldn't fix the hollow feeling in my chest. For the first 2 weeks, I barely left my room. I'd wake up late, sometimes noon, sometimes later, stare at the ceiling, watch the shadows move across the walls as the sun traveled across the sky. My art tablet sat in the corner where I'd dropped it the first day, untouched. The sight of it made my stomach churn. I couldn't draw. Every time I tried, I saw Trevor's face. Heard his voice. Children's books are cute, but they don't pay real money. Saw that woman in our apartment. Felt the weight of my own stupidity for changing myself for someone who didn't deserve it. I had 3 picture book contracts I was supposed to be working on. Publishers were emailing me, gently at first. "Hi, Elena, just checking in on the Garden Girl illustrations. How's it coming?" Then more urgently, "Elena, we need these files by end of month. Can you send us an update?" I couldn't respond. Couldn't even open the emails without feeling sick. One publisher finally called my cell. "Elena, we're worried about you. Is everything okay? Do you need more time?" "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I can't do this right now. I can't draw." Silence on the other end. Then kindly, "Take care of yourself first. The books can wait. But please, don't give up on your art. The world needs your stories." I hung up and cried for an hour. My mother finally intervened on a Wednesday morning, 3 weeks after I'd come home. She knocked on my door at 10 a.m. "Elena Maria Vasquez," she said, using my full name, which meant business. "Get up." "Mama, I'm tired." "No," she said firmly. "You're not tired, you're sad. And I understand that. But you can't heal from inside this room." She sat on my bed. "When your abuela died," Mom said quietly, "I spent 2 months in bed. Your father had to force me to eat. I thought I'd never feel joy again. She was my mother, my best friend, my everything. I'd forgotten about that." I was 12 when abuela passed. I remembered Mom being sad, but I didn't understand the depth of it. "What changed?" I asked. "Your father made me go to the garden," she said. "Made me put my hands in the soil, plant things, watch them grow. He said, 'Sophia, you can't control death, but you can control life. Choose life.'" She looked at me with eyes so full of love it hurt. "So I'm telling you, mija, choose life. Get up, go outside, move your body. You don't have to be happy. You don't have to be okay. But you have to try." "I don't know how," I whispered. "Start small," she said. "Take a shower, put on real clothes, go for a walk, just one walk, and see how you feel." I wanted to say no, wanted to stay in bed where it was safe, where no one could hurt me, where I didn't have to face the fact that I'd failed. But something in my mother's voice made me listen. "Okay," I said. "One walk?" She smiled. "Good. And Elena?" "Yeah?" "Try the bookshop on Maple Street. Mr. Bennett's grandson took it over last year. It's quiet. You can hide in the stacks, and no one will bother you. It's a good place for sad people." She said it so matter-of-factly that I laughed despite myself. "How do you know?" "Because I hid there too," she said, "after abuela died. Books don't judge you, they just keep you company." I showered for the first time in 4 days, put on jeans and a sweater that didn't smell like depression, looked at myself in the mirror. I looked terrible. Dark circles under my eyes, skin pale and dull, hair limp. But at least I was upright. At least I was trying. "That's enough," I told my reflection. "That's enough for today. The walk downtown took me 15 minutes. Maplewood was exactly as I remembered it. Main Street with its brick sidewalks and old-fashioned street lamps. The same shops I'd known my whole life. Thompson's Hardware, where Mr. Thompson had helped my dad pick out my first bike. Rosie's Diner, where I'd had my first job as a waitress at 16, where I'd saved enough money to buy my first professional art supplies. The old movie theater with the vintage marquee, still showing one movie at a time. The park where we used to sled in winter and have picnics in summer, where I'd had my first kiss with Danny Martinez under the oak tree when I was 14. Everything was the same. Except me. I was different now, broken in ways this town had never seen me broken before. I walked past the coffee shop, Java Junction, where a girl I'd gone to high school with, Amy Chen, was wiping down tables in the window. She saw me and waved enthusiastically. I pretended not to see her and walked faster. I wasn't ready for small talk. Wasn't ready for, "Oh my God, Elena, I heard you were in New York. How's the big city? Are you home visiting?" Wasn't ready to explain that I'd failed, that I'd come crawling back. When I turned onto Maple Street, I saw it. Bennett's Books. The old Victorian house I'd spent countless childhood afternoons in, losing myself in fantasy novels and poetry collections. It had been painted since I'd last seen it, a deep forest green with crisp white trim. The wraparound porch had been refinished, with 2 rocking chairs and hanging baskets that would probably be full of flowers in another month. The hand-painted sign swinging in the breeze was new, elegant script that said Bennett's Books with a small illustration of a stack of books underneath. Through the big bay window, I could see warm golden light, bookshelves overflowing with titles, and what looked like plants on every available surface. It looked like a refuge, like a place where broken people could hide. I took a breath, climbed the 3 steps to the porch, pushed open the door. A bell chimed, a sweet, clear sound, and I stepped inside. The smell hit me first, and I mean hit me, like walking into a memory I didn't know I'd forgotten. Old paper. That specific scent of vintage books, slightly musty, slightly sweet, the smell of 1,000 stories waiting to be discovered. Wood polish. Lemon-scented, fresh, like someone had just lovingly wiped down every shelf. Coffee, dark roast, rich and inviting. And underneath it all, something cinnamon, maybe candles, maybe fresh baking from somewhere nearby. The combination was intoxicating. The bookshop was everything I remembered, but better. So much better. Someone, presumably the grandson, had transformed it while keeping its soul intact. The Victorian bones were still there. The original wood floors, slightly creaky. The high ceilings with ornate crown molding. The grand staircase that curved up to the 2nd floor. But now there were touches that made it feel alive. Fairy lights strung along the tops of bookshelves, casting a warm glow. Deep, overstuffed armchairs in jewel tones, emerald, sapphire, ruby, tucked into cozy corners with reading lamps beside them. A fireplace in the back wall that I didn't remember being there, with a leather couch and a thick wool blanket draped over it facing the hearth. A small fire crackled, even though it wasn't that cold outside. Plants everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Pothos trailing down from high shelves, their leaves reaching toward the light. Succulents lined up on windowsills like little green soldiers. A massive fiddle-leaf fig in the corner by the mystery section. Snake plants and peace lilies, and what looked like a small herb garden on a table near the register. Someone here loved green things. The books themselves were organized but not rigid. Fiction, alphabetical by author. But also, a staff picks table near the front, with handwritten cards explaining why each book was chosen. A, if you loved X, try Y section with creative pairings. A local author's shelf that I'd never seen before, featuring Vermont writers. And my favorite, a books for when you're sad display near one of the armchairs. The sign read, "Sometimes you need a good cry. Sometimes you need a laugh. Sometimes you need to know you're not alone. Here are books for all of those." I felt seen. Soft music played from speakers I couldn't see. Jazz, something instrumental and soothing. A piano and upright bass, conversational and gentle. The whole space felt like a hug. Like someone had designed it specifically for people who needed shelter from the world. I stood there, just breathing it in. For the first time in weeks, the knot in my chest loosened slightly. "Welcome to Bennett's." The voice came from somewhere behind the bookshelves, warm, male, genuinely enthusiastic. I turned. And then he appeared from between the stacks, carrying an armload of hardcovers. He was tall, maybe 6 feet 2 inches, broad-shouldered in that way that suggested he'd played sports in a former life. Black, with warm, deep brown skin that caught the fairy lights beautifully. He wore a forest green cardigan over a faded white t-shirt that said, "Read more books" in simple black letters. Dark jeans, slightly worn. Brown leather boots that looked comfortable and broken in. Glasses, thick-framed, a little too big for his face in an endearing way, that kept sliding down his nose. His hair was cut short, neat. And his smile. God, his smile. It crinkled the corners of his eyes and reached all the way up to his forehead and made him look like the kind of person who'd never hurt anyone on purpose. He looked like kindness personified. "Hi," he said, adjusting the books in his arms and pushing his glasses up with his pinky finger in one smooth, practiced motion. "I'm Noah. Welcome to Bennett's. Are you looking for something specific, or are you just browsing?" His voice matched his face. Warm, kind, completely without pressure. He wasn't trying to sell me anything. He was just offering. "Browsing," I managed, my voice coming out quieter than I intended. "Perfect," he said, and his smile got wider. "That's my favorite kind of visitor. People who browse tend to find exactly what they need, even if they didn't know they needed it." He gestured around the shop with his free hand. "So let's see. The mystery section is upstairs if you're into that kind of thing. I just got some great new Tana French and Louise Penny if you like atmospheric detective stories. Poetry is in the alcove by the window." He pointed to a sunny nook I hadn't noticed yet, lined with slim volumes. "We've got everyone from Mary Oliver to Ocean Vuong. Kids' books." He gestured to a bright corner I could see from where I stood, with tiny chairs painted in primary colors and colorful bins labeled by age group, "Are over there." Though honestly, I read a lot of those myself. Some of the best writing in the world is in children's books. He said it without irony, without condescension, like he genuinely believed it. I felt something flutter in my chest. "And if you need a place to hide from the world for a while," Noah continued, his voice dropping, slightly becoming more gentle, "the leather couch by the fire is the best seat in the house. I keep it open for people who look like they need it." He said it so casually, but the way he looked at me, he knew. He could see that I was one of those people, that I was hiding. And instead of calling it out, instead of making me feel embarrassed or pitied, he was just offering me space. "Thank you," I said quietly. "Of course," Noah replied. "Take your time. I'll be around if you need anything. Oh, and there's free coffee by the register if you want some. Fair warning, I'm not a barista, so it's just regular drip coffee, but it's good coffee." "That sounds perfect." "Great. Help yourself." He started to walk away, then paused. "I'm Noah, by the way. Did I already say that?" "You did." "Right. Cool. Well, I'm here if you need me. But also, I'll leave you alone. I promise I'm not one of those hovering bookshop owners who won't let you browse in peace." He smiled again, self-deprecating, warm, and then disappeared back into the stacks, leaving me standing there, feeling for the first time in 3 weeks like maybe I could breathe. I wandered, let my feet take me where they wanted to go, ran my fingers along book spines, feeling the different textures, smooth dust jackets, rough cloth covers, the satisfying ridge of embossed letters. I pulled out random books and read first lines. It was a bright cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. The sun shone, having no alternative, on the nothing new. "I am an invisible man." First lines that promised entire worlds. I found myself inevitably in the children's section, like a homing pigeon returning to its roost. The bins were organized by age: board books, ages 3 to 5, ages 6 to 8, ages 9 to 12. There was a reading nook with cushions on the floor, and a canopy overhead made of sheer fabric covered in stars. It was magical. The kind of space that would make any kid feel like reading was an adventure. I browsed the picture books, saw titles I recognized, classics I'd grown up with. And then I saw it. Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. The book that had changed my life when I was 7 years old. The book that made me want to be an illustrator. My hand reached for it automatically. I pulled it out. Sat down in one of the tiny chairs, my knees nearly to my chest, feeling ridiculous and not caring. I opened to the first page. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another. The illustrations. God, the illustrations. Sendak's cross-hatching. The way Max's bedroom transforms page by page, the walls becoming a forest, reality giving way to imagination. The wild things themselves, terrifying and wonderful and ultimately harmless once Max knows he's loved. The journey there and back again. I'd studied these pictures 1,000 times, traced them with my finger as a child, tried to copy the technique as a teenager, used them as reference when I was in art school. But sitting here now, looking at them with adult eyes and a broken heart, I saw something new. I saw courage. Max was small and alone and scared, but he didn't let that stop him from having an adventure, from sailing away, from becoming king of somewhere wild and beautiful and dangerous. And when he'd had enough, when he'd proven what he needed to prove, he sailed home, to where someone loved him, to where dinner was waiting, still hot. I didn't realize I was crying until a tear hit the page. I quickly wiped it away before it could damage the book, closed it carefully, held it to my chest, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something other than pain. I felt wonder. I felt possibility. I felt like maybe, just maybe, I could find my way home too. That's a good choice. I looked up, startled. Noah was standing a few feet away, holding a stack of books he was apparently re-shelf. He had the decency to look slightly apologetic for interrupting. "Sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to intrude. I just saw what you were reading and—" He trailed off. "It's okay," I said, my voice thick from crying. "It's my favorite," he admitted, gesturing to the book in my hands. "Where the Wild Things Are. Has been since I was a kid. Mine too." His face lit up. "Really? Most people say like The Giving Tree or something, which is a fine book, don't get me wrong, but it's too sad," I finished. "Exactly," Noah said, animated now. "The tree gives everything and gets nothing back. That's not a lesson I want kids to learn. But Max? Max has an adventure and then comes home. That's perfect." I smiled despite myself. "The way Sendak draws Max's imagination taking over the whole room," Noah continued, warming to his subject. "That moment where the walls become the forest? That's magic. That's a kid's inner world becoming real on the page. The cross-hatching in the forest scenes," I said, without thinking. "The way he builds depth with just pen and ink. The texture. It's incredible." Noah's eyebrows rose behind his glasses. "You know about cross-hatching?" It wasn't a question. Yeah, I said. "You're an artist?" The word felt like a punch to the gut. Was the first? Could I call myself that if I couldn't draw anymore? "I used to be," I said quietly. Something shifted in Noah's expression. Not pity, understanding. Like he'd been there. Like he knew exactly what it felt like to say I used to be about something that mattered. "Well," he said gently, "the books are here whenever you want to remember." He didn't push, didn't ask what happened, didn't try to fix it. He just gave me space, gave me grace. "Thank you," I whispered. Noah nodded and started to walk away. Then he paused and turned back. "Hey, I know this might be weird since we just met, but you're welcome here, anytime, even if you don't buy anything, even if you just want to sit and read. This place?" He looked around at the shelves, the plants, the cozy corners. "My grandmother always said a good bookshop should be a refuge. So, you're welcome to refuge here if you need it." Before I could respond, he walked away, giving me exactly what I needed, which was space to fall apart and put myself back together in peace. I stayed for 3 hours that day, read 4 picture books, analyzing the illustrations with an artist's eye I thought I'd lost, browsed the poetry section and found Mary Oliver's Wild Geese, which made me cry again, drank 2 cups of free coffee. Noah was right, it was good coffee. Sat in the leather chair by the fire and watched the flames dance and felt warm for the first time in weeks. When I finally left, the bell chiming behind me as I stepped back out into the late afternoon, I realized something. For 3 hours, I hadn't thought about Trevor once. For 3 hours, I'd been fully present. For 3 hours, I'd felt almost like myself again. And as I walked back to my parents' house, my steps a little lighter, I thought, maybe Mom was right. Maybe this bookshop was exactly what I needed. If you're enjoying Elena's story so far, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button for tender heart stories. We share real, heartfelt stories about love, healing, and second chances. And leave a comment telling me What's your favorite bookshop or library memory? I read every single comment. Now, back to the story. I went back to Bennett's books the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. It became my routine. Wake up, have breakfast with my parents, walk to the bookshop, spend hours reading, drawing in my sketchbook, existing quietly. Noah never pushed, never asked invasive questions. But he was always there. On day 4, he brought me a book. You might like this, he said, setting it on the table next to me. The Night Circus by Aaron Morgenstern. It's about magic and art and choosing your own path, he explained. Figured you might relate. I stared at the book. How did you know? Lucky guess, he said with that easy smile. But it wasn't luck. He was paying attention. On day 7, we had our first real conversation. I was sketching in my notebook, just doodles, nothing serious, when he walked by with a cup of coffee. You're really good, he said, glancing at the page. I closed the notebook quickly. It's nothing. Can I sit? He asked, gesturing to the chair across from me. I nodded. He sat, cradling his coffee cup. I don't want to pry, Noah said carefully, but I've noticed you're here every day, and you always sit in the same spot, and you look at the children's books like they're old friends. I didn't say anything. I'm guessing you're an illustrator, he continued. And I'm guessing something happened that made you stop. My throat tightened. How do you know? Because I recognize the look, he said softly. I had it too, once. He told me his story then. How his grandmother, Mrs. Eleanor Bennett, had run this bookshop for 40 years. How Noah had spent every summer here as a kid, reading in the corners, helping stock shelves. How he'd gone to college for business, worked in finance in Boston, climbed the corporate ladder, made good money. Hated every minute of it. I was good at it, Noah said. Really good. But I felt like I was dying inside, like I was living someone else's life. What changed? I asked. My grandmother got sick, he said. Stage 4 cancer. I came home to help her, thinking I'd go back to Boston after. But she sat me down one day and said, Noah, life's too short to spend it doing things that don't feed your soul. He smiled, but his eyes were sad. She left me the bookshop in her will, and I had a choice, sell it and go back to finance, or stay and run it myself. You stayed, I said. I stayed, he confirmed. Best decision I ever made. Even though everyone thought I was crazy. Even though I make a fraction of what I used to. Even though some months I barely break even. He looked around at the shelves, the plants, the cozy corners. This place feeds my soul, he said simply. I felt tears prickling my eyes. I used to love what I did, I whispered. I used to draw all the time. I illustrated children's books, magical stories about brave kids going on adventures. That's beautiful, Noah said. But I was told it wasn't enough. That I needed to be more practical, more ambitious. That I was wasting my talent on silly children's stories. Who told you that? Noah asked, and there was an edge to his voice. Someone I loved, I said. Someone I trusted. Noah was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Can I tell you something my grandmother used to say? I nodded. She said, There's nothing more practical than doing work that makes you feel alive, because dead people don't create anything worth remembering. I laughed, a real laugh, the first in months. Your grandmother sounds like she was amazing. She was, Noah said. And I think she would have liked you. After that, we talked every day, not about heavy things, just life. He told me about his favorite books. I told him about my favorite illustrators. He made terrible puns that made me groan. I showed him sketches, tentatively at first, then more freely. This is incredible, he'd say, studying my drawings of fairy tale forests and brave little girls with swords. You really think so? Elena, this is the kind of art that changes kids' lives, the kind that makes them believe they can be heroes. No one had ever talked about my art like that, not Trevor, not even my publishers. But Noah did. 3 weeks after I first walked into Bennett's books, Noah made me an offer. I have a proposition for you, he said one afternoon. I looked up from the book I was reading. I need help, he admitted. The bookshop does okay, but I'm drowning in inventory. Books are piled everywhere. My organizational system is basically shove it wherever it fits. I laughed. And I thought, he continued, maybe you'd want a part-time job? Nothing crazy. Just a few days a week, helping me organize, maybe decorating the space a bit. You have an artist's eye. Noah, I don't know. I can't pay much, he said quickly. But you'd have free coffee, first pick of any new books that come in, and... He grinned. My sparkling company. Despite myself, I smiled. Why are you asking me? Because you love books, he said simply. Because you need something to do besides sit in your childhood bedroom feeling sad. And because I think maybe we could be friends. Friends. The word felt warm. Safe. Okay, I said. I'll do it. Working at Bennett's Books changed everything. Noah taught me how the inventory system worked, barely. We spent days reorganizing shelves, creating better sections, making room for new stock. I suggested we create a dedicated local authors section. Noah loved it. I designed hand-painted signs for different genres. Noah hung them with pride. You're making this place beautiful, he said. It was already beautiful, I replied. I'm just highlighting it. We fell into a rhythm. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I worked at the shop. Other days, I came anyway, just to be there. Noah started leaving little surprises for me. A new art book on the front desk with a sticky note. Thought you'd like this. A cup of coffee made exactly how I liked it. 1 cream, no sugar. A particularly beautiful edition of The Secret Garden because I'd mentioned it was my mom's favorite. Small things. Thoughtful things. Things that made my heart feel less heavy. One rainy Saturday, we had 0 customers. The shop was empty except for us. Want to help me with a project? Noah asked. Sure. He led me upstairs to the 2nd floor, to a small room I'd never been in. It was cluttered with boxes, old furniture, and dust. This, Noah said, used to be my grandmother's reading nook. She'd sit here for hours with tea and a book. I've been meaning to restore it, but I never had the energy. It's perfect, I said, looking at the big window overlooking Maple Street, the built-in bookshelves, the window seat buried under boxes. Help me? He asked. Absolutely. We spent the whole day on it. Carried boxes downstairs. Wiped down shelves. Washed the window until light poured in. Noah found his grandmother's old armchair in a closet, floral pattern, deep cushions. I found vintage lamps at a second-hand store down the street. We arranged books on the shelves, poetry, classics, hidden gems. Put plants on the windowsill. Added a small table for tea. By evening, it was transformed. Elena, Noah breathed, looking around. This is perfect. Your grandmother would love it, I said. He turned to me, and his expression was so tender it made my chest ache. Thank you, he said quietly, for helping me bring her back to life in this space. Thank you, I replied, for giving me a reason to create again. We stood there in the golden lamplight, surrounded by books, and I realized something that terrified me. I was falling for him. That night, I lay in bed thinking about Noah, about his kindness, his patience, the way he saw me, really saw me, and didn't ask me to be anyone other than who I was. But I was scared, because the last time I trusted someone, they destroyed me. The last time I gave my heart away, it came back in pieces. What if this was the same? What if I was just fooling myself? What if I got hurt again? Okay, real talk. Leave a comment right now. Do you think Elena should take the risk? Should she let herself fall for Noah or protect her heart? Let me know what you'd do. And if you haven't subscribed to Tender Heart Stories yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button. We've got so many more beautiful stories coming. Now let's get back to Elena and Noah. November arrived with the first snow. Maplewood transformed into a postcard. White streets, twinkling lights, the smell of cinnamon and pine everywhere. And Bennett's Books became even cozier. Noah added a fireplace rotation, keeping it burning all day, making the whole shop smell like wood smoke and comfort. He put up Christmas lights in the windows, started playing soft holiday jazz, created a cozy reeds display with blankets draped over an armchair. You're really leaning into the Hygge aesthetic, I teased. Is it working? He asked, grinning. Completely. One Thursday evening, we stayed late doing inventory. The shop was closed, snow falling outside, just us and thousands of books. I'm starving, Noah announced around 7 p.m. Me too. Want to order pizza? My treat. We can eat by the fire. Deal? We sat on the floor in front of the fireplace, pizza box between us, snow drifting past the windows. Can I ask you something? Noah said. Sure. What happened in New York? You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. But I feel like there's a story there. I took a breath, and I told him everything. About Trevor, about how he made me feel small, about the betrayal, about how I haven't been able to draw anything meaningful since. Noah listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Do you know what I see when I look at you? He finally said. I shook my head. I see someone incredibly brave, Noah said. Someone who got knocked down and got back up. Someone who left a toxic situation instead of staying and shrinking herself to fit into someone else's idea of who she should be. I don't feel brave, I whispered. I feel broken. Broken things can be beautiful, he said gently. Kintsugi, you know, that Japanese art of repairing pottery with gold? The idea is that the breaks become part of the object's history. They make it more valuable, not less. Tears spilled down my cheeks. Elena, Noah said, and he reached out, carefully wiping a tear away with his thumb. You're not broken, you're healing. And that takes more courage than never being hurt at all. Something shifted that night. The air between us felt different. Charged. When our hands accidentally touched reaching for the same pizza slice, neither of us pulled away immediately. When he walked me to my car later, he stood a little closer than usual. Drive safe, he said, his voice soft. I will. See you Saturday? Yeah, I said. See you Saturday. I drove home in a daze. My heart was racing, and for the first time since leaving New York, I felt something that wasn't fear. I felt hope. The first Saturday in December, Maplewood held its annual Christmas market. The whole downtown transformed, vendor stalls selling handmade crafts, hot chocolate stands, carolers, a massive Christmas tree in the town square. You should come, my mom said that morning. Get out of the house. It's beautiful. I don't know, Mama. Elena. She gave me that look. Go. Live your life. So I went. The market was packed. Families with kids. Couples holding hands. Old friends catching up over mulled cider. I wandered through the stalls, looking at handmade ornaments and knitted scarves, when I heard a familiar voice. Elena. I turned. Noah was at a booth selling books. A little pop-up for Bennett's books. He was wearing a Santa hat and a ridiculous Christmas sweater with a reindeer on it. Oh my God, I laughed. That sweater. This sweater is a classic, he said, pretending to be offended. My grandmother knitted it herself. It's perfect, I said, and I meant it. Want to walk around? Noah asked. I've got someone covering the booth for a bit. Sure. We wandered through the market together. He bought me hot chocolate. I bought him a cinnamon roll from a bakery stall. We watched kids ice skating on the temporary rink set up in the square. I used to skate here every year, I said. Were you good? Noah asked. Terrible, I admitted. I fell more than I stood upright. Want to try again? I looked at him like he was crazy. Come on, he said, grinning. Live dangerously. We rented skates. I wobbled onto the ice like a newborn deer. Noah skated circles around me, showing off. You didn't tell me you were good at this. I accused. Hockey player in high school, he said with a wink. Great, so I'm going to embarrass myself in front of a pro. I'll help you, he said, reaching out his hand. I took it. His hand was warm. Strong. He guided me slowly around the rink, patient as I stumbled and grabbed his arm. You're doing great, he encouraged. I'm a disaster. A very cute disaster. I looked up at him, startled. He realized what he'd said and blushed. Sorry, It's okay, I said softly. We kept skating, hand in hand. After an hour, we were both freezing and laughing. We returned the skates and walked toward the big Christmas tree. It was enormous, covered in lights, with presents underneath for the town's toy drive. Make a wish, Noah said. What? It's a tradition. You look at the tree, make a wish, and it comes true. That's not a real tradition, I said, laughing. It is now. So, I closed my eyes. And I wished for courage. Courage to be happy again. Courage to trust again. Courage to let myself fall. When I opened my eyes, Noah was looking at me, not at the tree. At me. "What did you wish for?" he asked. "Can't tell you," I said. "It won't come true." "Fair enough." We stood there in the glow of the Christmas lights, snow falling gently around us. And Noah said, "Elena, Noah." A voice interrupted. We both turned. A woman was walking toward us. Tall, blonde, model beautiful in a designer coat. She smiled at Noah. "I thought that was you," she said. And my stomach dropped. Because the way she looked at him, familiar, possessive, intimate, this wasn't a stranger. "Melissa," Noah said, and his voice was tight. "What are you doing here?" "I'm in town visiting my parents for the holidays," she said. Then she noticed me. "Oh. And who's this?" "This is Elena," Noah said. "She works at the bookshop." "Works at the bookshop." Not my friend. Not someone important to me. Just an employee. "Nice to meet you," Melissa said, barely glancing at me before turning back to Noah. "We should catch up. Can I buy you a coffee?" Noah looked at me. I forced a smile. "You should go," I said. "I need to get home anyway." "Elena." "Really, it's fine. I'll see you next week." I walked away before he could say anything else, before I could see him choose her. I got to my car and sat there, gripping the steering wheel. Who was she? An ex? A current girlfriend I didn't know about? Why did my chest hurt so much? I barely knew Noah. We were just friends. Except we weren't. Not really. And I'd been stupid to think this could be different. To think I could be happy. To think someone like Noah could want someone like me. I drove home and went straight to my room. My mom knocked on my door an hour later. "Mija? You okay?" "Fine, Mama." "You don't sound fine." I opened the door. She took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. "Tell me," she said. So I did. About Noah. About falling for him. About the woman at the market. "Oh, mi amor," she said, stroking my hair. "Did you ask him who she was?" "No." "Maybe you should." "What if I don't like the answer?" My mom pulled back and looked me in the eye. "Elena, you can't protect yourself from pain by never taking risks. That's not living. That's just existing." I knew she was right, but I was terrified. Leave a comment. Was Elena right to walk away? Should she have stayed and talked to Noah? What would you do in her situation? And please, if this story is touching your heart, subscribe to Tender Heart Stories. I didn't go to the bookshop the next week. I called in
Hi,
sick.
Elena.
Just
Good
a
to
cold,
see you.
I told Noah on the phone. "I'll be back soon." "Okay," he said, and he sounded worried. "Feel better, Elena." I spent the week in my room, drawing. But not children's book illustrations. Dark things. Tangled forests. Girls running from shadows. My mom brought me tea and didn't push. My dad checked on me but gave me space. They knew I needed to process. On day 5, there was a knock at the door. "Mija, you have a delivery." I went downstairs. On the kitchen table was a box. I opened it. Inside were books. 5 of them, all illustrated children's books. On top was a note in Noah's handwriting. "These reminded me of you. Hope you feel better soon. The shop is quieter without you." N. My chest ached. I texted him. "Thank you for the books." He replied immediately. "You're welcome. You don't have to tell me what's wrong, but I'm here if you want to talk." I stared at the message. Then I typed, "Who was that woman at the market?" 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then, "Can we talk in person?" "I'll come to you." "Okay." He showed up 20 minutes later. We sat on my parents' porch, the December cold biting at our faces. "Her name is Melissa," Noah said. "We dated in college, broke up 8 years ago when I moved to Boston and she moved to California. She seems like she still cares about you," I said quietly. "Maybe," Noah admitted. "But I don't care about her. Not like that. Not anymore." "You said I work at the bookshop," I said. And I hated how small my voice sounded. Noah's face fell. "Elena, I'm sorry." I panicked. Melissa was my first serious relationship and seeing her out of nowhere just threw me. I didn't know what to say. "So you pretended I didn't matter?" "No," he said firmly. "That's not what I meant. You matter. You matter more than I know how to explain." I looked at him. "Then explain," I said. Noah took a breath. When I first saw you walk into the bookshop, you looked lost, he said. Like you were carrying the weight of the world. And I recognized that look because I'd felt it too. I wanted to help, but I didn't know how, so I just tried to be there. Tried to create a space where you could breathe. And then you started coming every day, and we started talking. And I realized, you weren't just someone I wanted to help. You were someone I wanted to know. He ran his hand through his hair. You're brilliant, Elena. You see beauty in everything. You make me laugh. You challenge me. You care about books the way I do. And when you smile, really smile, it's like the whole room lights up. My heart was pounding. I've been falling for you for weeks, Noah said softly. But I didn't want to push because I knew you were healing. I knew you'd been hurt, and I didn't want to be another person who hurt you. So when Melissa showed up, I freaked out. I didn't want you to think I was unavailable or playing games, but in trying not to hurt you, I did anyway. He looked at me with those warm brown eyes. I'm sorry, Elena. I'm so sorry. I was crying. I'm scared, I whispered. I know. The last person I trusted broke me. I know. What if you do the same? Noah moved closer, slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. I can't promise I'll never hurt you, he said honestly. People make mistakes. But I can promise I'll never lie to you. I'll never make you feel small, and I'll never ask you to be anyone other than who you are. He reached out, gently taking my hand. I think you're extraordinary exactly as you are, he said. And if you give me a chance, I'll spend every day proving that to you. I looked at our hands. His, warm and strong. Mine, trembling and uncertain. I'm falling for you too, I admitted. And it terrifies me. Me too, Noah said, smiling softly. Falling for someone is always terrifying. What do? We take it slow, he said. We talk, we're honest, and we see where this goes. I took a shaky breath. Okay, I said, smiling through my tears. Noah grinned. And then, very slowly, he leaned in. Can I kiss you? He whispered. Yes. He kissed me softly, gently, like I was something precious. And in that moment, on my parents' cold porch in the middle of December, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Safe. After that night, everything changed. Noah and I started dating. Really dating. He took me to dinner at the little Italian restaurant downtown. We went to movies at the old theater. We spent hours in the reading nook upstairs at the bookshop, reading side by side. He learned how I took my coffee. I learned he couldn't cook to save his life, but made excellent grilled cheese. We talked about everything, our childhoods, our dreams, our fears. He told me about the pressure he'd felt from his family to stay in finance. I told him about the pressure I'd felt to be successful in New York. We're both recovering from other people's expectations, he said one night. Yeah, I agreed. We are. And slowly, carefully, I started drawing again. Not for publishers, not for money, just for me. I drew the bookshop, the shelves, the fairy lights, the fireplace. I drew Noah reading in his armchair, glasses slipping down his nose. I drew the reading nook with snow falling outside the window. I drew us. One Sunday afternoon, I showed Noah my sketchbook. Elena, he breathed, flipping through the pages. These are incredible. They're just sketches. They're not just anything, he said seriously. These are beautiful. Have you thought about doing a book? A book? Yeah, like a children's book set in a bookshop. About a kid who finds magic in stories. You could illustrate it. My heart skipped. I don't know if I'm ready. What if we did it together? Noah suggested. I'll write the story. You illustrate it. Just for fun. No pressure. I looked at him. At his hopeful face. At this man who believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. Okay, I said. Let's do it. We spent the next month working on it. Noah wrote a story about a shy girl named Lily who moves to a new town and discovers a magical bookshop where the characters in the books come alive at night. I drew Lily, small, brown-skinned, brave despite her fear. I drew the bookshop owner, kind, wise, with Noah's smile. I drew magical scenes of Lily adventuring with book characters, finding courage, making friends. It was the most fun I'd had creating art in years. On Christmas Eve, Noah gave me a present. We were at the bookshop, the fire crackling, snow falling outside. "Open it," he said, grinning. I unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a leather-bound journal. On the cover, in gold lettering, Elena's stories. "For all the books you're going to create," Noah said softly. I looked up at him, tears in my eyes. "I love it. I love you," he said. Time stopped. "You... what?" "I love you, Elena," Noah said, not looking away. "I've loved you since you sat in that tiny chair reading Where the Wild Things Are and looked like you'd found home. I love your kindness, your talent, your strength. I love how you see magic in ordinary things. And I love who I am when I'm with you." I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. "You don't have to say it back," he said quickly. "I just needed you to know." "I love you too," I interrupted. He blinked. "You do?" "Yes, you ridiculous, wonderful man. I love you too." He kissed me. Deep and sweet and full of promise. And when we pulled apart, I said, "This is the best Christmas I've ever had." "Mine too," he said, grinning. We spent the rest of the night curled up by the fire, reading aloud to each other. And I thought about how 6 months ago, I'd been broken. How I'd thought I'd never be happy again. How I'd thought love was supposed to hurt. But Noah taught me something different. Love wasn't supposed to hurt. Love was supposed to heal. If this story is making you believe in love again, leave a comment with a heart emoji. And please subscribe to Tender Heart Stories. We're almost at the end and you won't want to miss it. January arrived cold and bright. Noah and I were stronger than ever. I'd moved into my own small apartment downtown, finally independent again. I was working full-time at the bookshop and illustrating on the side. Our book, Lily and the Living Library, was almost finished. Life was good. And then Trevor called. I was at the bookshop when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Elena. It's Trevor." My blood ran cold. "How did you get this number?" "I called your mom. Asked her to give it to me. I told her it was important. I was going to kill my mother." "What do you want, Trevor?" "I need to see you," he said. "I'm in Vermont. Can we meet?" "No. Elena, please. I drove 8 hours to get here. Just give me 15 minutes. Against my better judgment, I said, "Fine. Meet me at the coffee shop on Main Street. Noon." I hung up. Noah found me standing by the window, shaking. "What's wrong?" I told him. His jaw tightened. "You don't have to see him," Noah said. "I know. But maybe I need to." "For closure, do you want me to come with you?" I thought about it. "No," I said. "I need to do this alone. But thank you." He kissed my forehead. "I'll be here when you're done." Trevor was waiting at a corner table when I arrived. He looked the same. Expensive coat, perfect hair, confident smile. But he looked smaller somehow. Less important. "Elena,"
and the snow began to fall like magic.
"You look amazing."
This one, please.
"What do
Great
you want,
choice.
Trevor?"
It's a wonderful story.
I didn't sit down.
And the
He
snow
gestured
began
to
to
the
fall
chair.
like magic.
Reluctantly,
This
I
one, please.
sat.
Great choice.
"I've been
It's a
thinking
wonderful
about
story.
you," he started.
And the snow
"About
began
us.
to fall
About
like
what
magic.
happened?"
This one,
"You
please.
mean when you
Great
cheated
choice.
on me?"
It's a wonderful story.
He flinched. That was a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. I was stressed and I wasn't thinking clearly. "Don't," I said coldly. "Don't make excuses." He took a breath. "You're right. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry, Elena. I hurt you, and I regret it every day." "Why are you here?" I asked. "I want you back," he said simply. I stared at him. "I want us to try again," Trevor continued. "I broke up with her months ago. I quit my job. I'm freelancing now so I can work from anywhere. I could move here. We could start over." He reached across the table for my hand. I pulled it away. "I've changed," he said. "I've been in therapy. I've worked on myself. And I realize now that you were right. Your art matters. Children's books matter. I was an idiot for not seeing that. Trevor." "Please," he said. "I love you. I never stopped loving you. Give me another chance. 6 months ago, I would have fallen for this. 6 months ago, I would have thought love meant forgiving someone who hurt you. 6 months ago, I didn't know better. But now I did." "No," I said calmly. "Elena, I don't love you anymore, Trevor. I'm not even angry at you anymore. I'm just done." "Is there someone else?" he asked, and there was an edge to his voice. "Yes," I said. "But that's not why I'm saying no. I'm saying no because I deserve better than someone who made me feel small. I deserve someone who sees me and loves exactly who I am. I stood up. I hope you find happiness, Trevor. I really do. But it won't be with me. Elena, wait. I walked out. Noah was waiting at the bookshop. He looked up when I walked in, searching my face. How did it go? I crossed the room and kissed him. I chose you, I said. I chose us. I chose me. He wrapped his arms around me and held me tight. I'm so proud of you, he whispered. Thank you for waiting. I'd wait forever, he said. In February, we finished Lily and the Living Library. Noah wrote the final chapter. I drew the final illustration. Lily standing in the bookshop, surrounded by characters from her favorite books, all of them cheering for her. It's done, I said, staring at the completed manuscript. It's perfect, Noah said. Now what? Now we try to get it published, he said. I was terrified. What if publishers rejected it? What if they told me it wasn't good enough? What if... Hey, Noah said, taking my hand. No matter what happens, we made something beautiful. That's enough. We sent it to 10 children's book publishers. Got rejected by 7 of them. Got no response from 2. And then the 10th one, a small independent press in Boston, sent an email. We love Lily's story. Can we schedule a call? I screamed. Noah picked me up and spun me around. You did it, he said. You did it. The publisher offered us a contract. Not for a lot of money, but enough. And more importantly, they believed in the story. We think this could be the start of a series, the editor said on the call. Kids need stories about finding magic in everyday places, about brave girls who look like them, about the power of books. I was crying happy tears. Noah squeezed my hand. We'd love to do a series, he said. The book was published in June. We had a launch party at Bennett's Books. The whole town came. My parents, Noah's friends, regular customers, kids from the local elementary school. I did a reading and signed copies. And afterward, a little girl with brown skin and big eyes came up to me. I love Lily, she said shyly. She looks like me. My heart exploded. She's brave like you too, I told her. She smiled, a huge, beautiful smile, and hugged the book to her chest. That moment made everything worth it. It's been a year since I first walked into Bennett's Books. A year since I met Noah. A year since I started healing. So much has changed. Lily and the Living Library sold out its first printing. We're working on book 2. Publishers Weekly called it a love letter to books and the kids who need them. I'm getting emails from parents and teachers thanking me for creating a character their students can see themselves in. It's everything I ever dreamed of. Bennett's Books is thriving. We expanded, bought the empty shop next door and turned it into a dedicated children's section with murals I painted on the walls. We host Storytime every Saturday. Noah hired 2 part-time employees so we're not overwhelmed. And the reading nook upstairs? That's where I work now, illustrating the next book. Noah and I are talking about moving in together. He wants to get a dog. I want a cat. We'll probably end up with both. We're happy. Not perfect. We still have arguments, bad days, moments of doubt. But we talk through them. We choose each other every day. And that's what love is, I've learned. Not fireworks and grand gestures, but quiet mornings and inside jokes. Coffee made just right. Books left on the nightstand with sticky notes. Someone who sees you at your worst and stays. Sometimes I think about the Elena who left New York broken, who thought she'd never be happy again, who believed love was supposed to hurt. And I want to tell her, it gets better. You'll find a place that feels like home. You'll find work that feeds your soul. You'll find someone who loves you exactly as you are. You'll find yourself again. I'm sitting in the reading nook now, watching Noah help a kid find the perfect book. Snow is falling outside, the first of the season. And I'm drawing a new story about a girl who gets lost and finds her way home, about magic hiding in ordinary places, about second chances, about love that heals instead of hurts. My name is Elena Vasquez, and this is my story, not of heartbreak, but of coming home, to myself, to my art, to love. Thank you so much for spending this time with Elena's story. If it touched your heart, please leave a comment telling me what moment resonated most with you. And please, Subscribe to Tender Heart Stories. Because everyone deserves a love story that heals. Everyone deserves a second chance at happiness. And everyone deserves to come home to themselves. I'll see you in the next story. Until then, choose joy. Choose healing. Choose love.